And we're back. And we're back. And we're back. And so, as I've indicated to you before, we were discussing, this was a prescription that was bound to blow up. It was bound to blow up. You can't do things like that. It was like many years ago, a man might see a young woman, and he married and he decide, I want this one, I want to date this woman, I'm gonna be with this woman. Inevitably, it'll blow up. From the situations that I've seen, they tend to work. If I don't believe that they work, but I think that they tend to coexist with people who are a little bit closer in age. So if you got somebody like a Julia Fox, she said, "Okay, that's good. Let's roll with it." Hey, I'm old enough and I'm mature enough. I'm not saying her per se, but somebody in their 30s potentially can handle something like that. That boy was too young at 22, just way, way too young. And as a result, he is now in a position where people are running after him. And let me tell you something about young people that I have seen. They will have a phone, and I know he does as well, that is exclusively with communications with him and Jada. I would surmise. I have talked to young people. When I'm saying young people, maybe somebody 10 or 15 years younger than I. And I'll say something about, I wonder what I said back on this particular day. They'll go back and look at the text message, screenshot, and send it to me. There's some people who never delete a text message, but a lot of times when people get in these relationships, they got a phone just for that. Phone calls, text messages, pictures. Why? Because they know no matter what happens, that's an insurance policy. That is going to assure me that if I need to go get it, I can have it. What better time than this? And here's the situation. If you were inclined to be like that, why did you just release a single talking about the situation with Chris and with Chris Rock and with Will Smith? Because you trying to stir the fire. You trying to get you a little bit. I'm gonna give me a little crumb, okay? Now, I've listened to his music. He's talented. But do I think that he's some, croner that's going to be out here for 30 or 40 years because that's a baby Luther Vandross? He far from that, okay? All right? So he got like maybe that long in order to really work out with what he got in his career. So he need to get what he can when he does. Unfortunately, that's how people think about it. And I would not be surprised if he did not, I would not be surprised if he did come out with a book talking about it, but in the vein of self-help. The book, $1 million, going on a different circuit, a couple $100,000, you can walk away with almost $2 million if it's structured right. I don't know if he's willing to walk away from that. But what then does that do in the mainstream and dealing with Will and his perception of his marriage? Now, if you're going to get somebody for saying that your wife looked like, G.I. Jane second, can you imagine how you would feel? Humiliation that you would feel with this young man detailing what could have occurred between them, and text message to boot, and pictures. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. You understand? So I wouldn't be surprised. Why do I think that there's even an interest to humiliate them? Don't nobody care who's sleeping with who. That ain't even nothing. Okay, we got Karen on the line. Karen, how are you? What's your comment?
Yes, good afternoon, Attorney Evans.
How are you?
First of all, I want to say something about Will and Jada, then I had two questions to ask you about our upcoming elections. In terms of Will and Jada, I did see on the internet that years ago she didn't want to really marry Will in the first place, but she was still pregnant with their first child. So my question is, even though, he did come to her defense, could it be possible, in your opinion, that she might want to leave him now because of all the backlash and that he may not be able to get future movies?
Well, here's the situation. I think that she likes the security of it. Any woman who's been in a situation long enough, even if it's bad, has grown accustomed to being in that relationship. If your husband go out every Friday night and he don't come back in at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you done dealt with that. You done cried your last cry. You over that. You know what I'm saying? Look, when you out, make sure you get some bread. My point being to you is, from my understanding, they have an estimated value of $350 million. They have 3 homes in the California area alone. He has a $2.5 million motorhome that looks like a mini mansion. That why would you leave that? And what happens? I'm gonna tell you what I've seen happen in my own life and others' lives. When you over 40, damn near 50, it's very challenging. There are people that can come out of that and remarry. 9 times out of 10, the men that you may attract to are not interested in an older woman. And as a result, I think that she likes the companionship, and I know she likes having her family. You just got to work around and deal with stuff. I think that they have grown together to be where they are. I think that they have a level of trust. And I think that there's a level of understanding that you and I may not, invite in our relationship. But, different strokes for different folks. That's how I feel. But they had to do something. Okay, second question.
Thank you. Okay, well, two questions about the elections real quick.
Okay.
I was talking to a friend, and she was very happy for the new Supreme Court justice as well as I am. Mm-hmm. But she was saying that it's only a start because still the court is unbalanced and the majority rules. So we still may not get some of the things we want, even with her on there.
But let me say this to you.
I have one more question.
Let me say this to you. You don't know what God got planned. Each of those justices that have been on there who, may have died or stepped down. Listen, let me tell you something. They didn't think that was going to come. Justice Scalia was out there vacationing, had a massive heart attack. You don't know right. How God is putting people. Oh, that she just going to be with the dissent. Listen, 2 more people come up off of there for whatever reason. That's the majority. Right. Man. So listen, right. The fact that, yes, she's on there and, she's part of the more liberal arm doesn't mean you 2 away. Last week, it was 3 away. Okay? You don't know what can happen, right. And you end up being the majority. Look at what happened right. With the election, with the senators, with the congressmen. We know what I'm saying? We was down, but we went out. It's like a basketball game. Right. You don't give up because you 5 points behind. And so my point being to you is, the closer that we can come to being in a majority, we should definitely not say, this woman 51 years old. Justice Scalia was supposed to still be here, but God had other plans for him. Okay? Other, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. You don't know what can happen.
That's what I told my friend, that we don't know what may happen. Clarence Thomas.
He might just decide.
They're not wishing anything.
But he might decide for whatever reason, I'm gone. I don't want to do this no more. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. Right. But what we do know, we're closer to having a majority than we were before. We're closer than that. Okay. And for us to feel,
she's... I'm sorry. Chief Craig was on Let It Rip the other night. And so, he was vouching for, running as the governor. And so he was stating that the majority of them, in terms of being anti-abortion, they are leaning toward that. Even if a woman has been raped or incest is involved, they still feel that she should have the child. What do you think about that? And the whole nation is starting to kind of look in that direction.
Let me say this to you, from I can only answer this from, I'm going to do it from my experience. I have seen people in court who say, I don't believe in abortion. I understand that. And officers were dispatched to the home to take off a diaper of a 3-year-old and the skin came off. I have seen women use their children to barter for drugs as young as 5 years old, having sex with men 60 and 70 years old. I have seen women allow their children to be prostituted at 5 and 7 years old. Do you think that that's a good life for them to lead?
Oh, no, that's no good at all.
And what my question then becomes, if person takes away your desire to live, to go on, and you damn it so good, what kind of life is that? Oh, by the way, in both of those situations, ultimately one ended up committing suicide and the other one's in prison. Do you think that's the kind of life that they envision for them? Absolutely not. We have to be able to look at the fitness of these women. Just because you have a baby don't mean that you can be a mama. And to take away an opportunity for a person, I have seen, and as well as my other colleagues, seen some things that people shouldn't see and people shouldn't even talk about. But at the same time, you know what I'm saying? This woman said, well, I didn't want to abort my child, but when you took the diaper off, their skin came off because they had sat in feces for 4 days. We'll be back.